and Joseph. Yeah, Peter Gallery. Okay.
Anthony?
Thank you very much for your attention. My name is Kathleen Kelly, and I would like, most of you know that, some of you don't. I'm number 6 out of 11, and I'd like to welcome you all to the house that Robbie built, and then built again in 1997 after the fire. I want to thank you all for coming to join us in our celebration of Robbie's life and to help us mark the great transition we are now having to make to live our lives now with only our memories of Robbie. Ceremonies of remembrance are important for helping to grieve our loss, remember the joys of our life with them, and to begin to internalize this new relationship with the person who has died. This is a new relationship in the sense that the friendship and love that is held between you goes on, although in a new way. They remain forever loved, their presence forever missed, and the full meaning of their life is forever unfolding as we continue on without them. We can become more used to their absence, but there is no getting over this experience. Love, companionship, and a common life bind us, one to another across the time and distance. Robbie never lost the will to live. He only lost the ability to live. He loved life with a fierceness and fervor and was a good example for all, for how to live even after great difficulties and stress. In the last decade, Robbie had to live through the deaths of our sisters Mary, Elizabeth, and Christine, as well as Dad. There will be no more loss or sorrow for Robbie. I just want you to know that we welcome all to share stories about Robbie after this brief memorial service. First, I'd like to share a poem with you written by W.H. Auden. Stop all the clocks, cut off the telephone, prevent the dog from barking with a juicy bone. Silence the pianos, and with muffled drum, bring out the coffin, let the mourners come. Let aeroplanes circle, moaning overhead, scribbling on the sky the message, he is dead. Put great bows around the white necks of the public doves. Let the traffic policemen wear black cotton gloves. He was my north, my south, my east, and my west. My working week and my Sunday rest. My noon, my midnight, my talk, my song. I thought that love would last forever. I was wrong. The stars are not wanted now. Put out every one. Pack up the moon and dismantle the sun. Pour away the ocean and sweep up the wood, for nothing now can ever come to any good. Now I'd like to share a reading from Matthew. Therefore, everyone who hears these words of mine and acts on them may be compared to a wise man who built his house on the rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came. And the winds blew and slammed against that house, and yet it did not fall, for it had been founded on the rock. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does not act on them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand. The rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew and slammed against that house, and it fell, and it was a great fall. I'd now like to have share with all a nice letter that Maxim, my brother Robbie's nephew, wrote. It was it was probably a text, I think, actually, that Maxim sent, but I thought it was a nice sentiment. Kelly?
First of all, I would also like to thank all of you for coming to share this day with us, because it's a very hard day for all of us. What my son wrote really kind of exemplifies what my brother was to everybody who needed him and to people who didn't. Robert was the big brother, the wonderful uncle, the wonderful dad, the great friend to everybody who came his way. But a few years ago, about 7 years ago actually, Max and I felt it necessary to expand our chalet at Innsbruck, and of course, who are you going to call? Robert. And Robert came out single-handedly, and Max and I felt that he could benefit from a little help, a few extra hands. So we asked Maxim to go out and help Robert take down walls, put up roofs, install floors, and otherwise change our chalet to be ready for the next generation of Starkloffs to be there. One day I got this message from my son, and he sent it to Rob's cell phone, and he asked me to read it to Robert. Hey, Uncle Rob, it's Maxim. I wanted to tell you something that is very important to me, and that has shaped me and made me a better, harder working man. 7 years ago, there was a carpenter and a boy who set out to build an addition on his sister's house for her in the woods. The carpenter and boy started working on the house. The boy had no goals, no morals, whined and moaned at the sight of work. The carpenter saw this right away with the boy as the days went on. The carpenter started to question the boy on views of himself, work ethic, and overall self-worth. The boy listened. As months went by, the boy started watching and listening to the carpenter, started caring about his work and learning the ways of the carpenter. By the end of their project, the boy was no longer a boy, but a man. He found himself and his self-worth, morals, and work ethic, and found happiness in what awaited him in life. A lot of my problems you helped me with that summer. Thank you. Love always, Max.
I just want to say a prayer. Almighty God, Holy Trinity, look with kindness on Robert, himself a son, a brother, a father, a worker, one who used his hands and mind to shape beautiful things for others. Like St. Joseph, the carpenter, who on this earth was a craftsman, a carpenter, Robert too could craft things for those who wanted his service. He mended broken objects, put items back together, worked on his tractor faithfully, brought joy and beauty into our lives. We ask you, God, to forgive any sin or wrongdoing. Show mercy and forgiveness. Take him into the joy of heaven, where he will be joined to his mother, his father, his baby brother Michael, and his sisters, Mary Elizabeth and Christine, and Emily. We ask this through the sufferings of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord.
Amen. It says, I'm honored to be here today with family and friends to pay tribute and respect to Robert Kelly, my brother, and to wish him farewell. Robert Leach Kelly, R.L. Kelly, was born March 27, 1953. I'd like to share a bit of what was going on in the world at the time Robert was born. In 1953, in January, President Harry S. Truman announced development of a hydrogen bomb. In February, President Eisenhower refused clemency for the Rosenbergs. The heavyweight boxing champion was Rocky Marciano. Mickey Mantle hit a 5.65 home run, and the Cardinal baseball team was sold to Anheuser-Busch. Sportsman Park was renovated and renamed Busch Stadium, and the Browns, the St. Louis Browns, left St. Louis to become the Baltimore Orioles. Jonas Salk announced the polio vaccine, and perhaps most importantly, The Adventures of Superman TV show premiered in syndication. Robert was the third child and the first son born to Robert Sr., who was 28 and a half, and Joanne, who had just turned 29. Colleen was 3 and Mary was 1 and a half. This was post-war II, the baby boom area, and babies were booming for Robert and Joanne. There would be 9. Robert was 10 pounds, 7 ounces at birth.
Wow.
The nurses asked if he had sandwiches. And Mom called him Little Robert. At 10 months, Mom wrote in her baby book, Little Robert is on his 3rd pair of shoes. The Lord has endowed him with a generous foundation. Robbie attended St. Rock's grade school in the west end of St. Louis at a time when all the kids walked to school. At the first ever all-school, all-class reunion at St. Rock's, I saw Dad there and realized for the first time that Dad and Robert and 7 Kelly siblings had all attended the same grade school. As little kids, Rob and Dan went door to door in the neighborhood selling watermelons when Mom would bring them home from the farmer's market. This caught the attention of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch newspaper, who sent photographers and a reporter to publish the story and the pictures. For high school, Robbie attended CBC, a military high school, just when the communists started the Tet Offensive, which escalated one of the major battles of the war. Escalated into one of the major battles of the war. CBC boys had to shine their shoes for school, press their uniforms, and submit to regular inspections. The draft was alive and well, and we all worried about Robbie's draft number getting called. Grandpa Kelly, Uncle Joe Kelly, and Dad, as well as Robert and Dan, all went to CBC. Even my nephew, Warren Smith, went to CBC, making 4 generations at the same high school and 3 generations at the same grade school. Robert's choice of sports in high school was wrestling, and he excelled. He wrestled in the 165, 170 weight classes, except when he wrestled Dad in the living room. He went to state. He pinned opponents in as little as 12 seconds. In this sport, a wrestler can crawl outside the ring if he's not doing well.
Rob doesn't have them.
The referee will blow the whistle and the match will restart. Robert was such a strong and dominant wrestler, he would grab his opponent's leg and pull him back.
I remember. I saw that happen on many occasions. You ain't going nowhere.
In tournaments, when he got a bye, meeting his opponent withdrew from the match. I was sure it was because they were too afraid to wrestle him.
I wasn't.
Robbie attended St. Louis Community College, but his real passion was in working with his hands. While he was not the best student at schoolwork, he had an undeniable mechanical genius. He once told me that his dream job was being a construction guy. I think Robert was 19 when he ran all the electrical wiring for this house by himself. Robbie joined the Carpenters Union and apprenticed until he became a journeyman carpenter. A very happy day for him. Our sister Chris and her husband Mike Smith helped him celebrate that achievement. In the early days, Robbie worked everything from pouring concrete to painting huge structures way off the ground while wearing a harness, wielding the spray gun, and swinging back and forth. He learned a tremendous amount in the union, honed his skills, and eventually left to work independently. Robbie could build anything. He could fix anything. He just understood how things worked. When we had a devastating house fire here in 1996, Dad hired Robbie to build the house again. this time with a more professional and seasoned crew. Robbie married Julie Martin, and they welcomed Aaron William to the family. Shortly after came a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Leah. Robbie and Julie brought a darling little house in Union, Missouri, and Robbie immediately set to work fixing it up. Robbie started to help coach the local boys wrestling team, and Aaron began wrestling at the age of 5. Did you wrestle in the living room with him?
I tried.
Challenges never kept him from enjoying life. Robbie loved to dine out, drink red wine, and travel. Robbie and I took a ski trip to Big White Ski Mountain in Canada. While I was no expert at skiing, I had taken some lessons, so I offered to give him a few tips. He declined. Instead, he was so strong, he just muscled his way down the slope. He'd ski a run or two and then repair to the bar to sip red wine. Robbie loved the Florida Keys, and he loved to camp. He had scouted out the best campgrounds, the best campsites, and he took camping trips to the Keys year after year, and always extended the invitation to family and friends. When I finally took him up on his invitation, I had a couple of reactions. Number one, I had forgotten how much fun camping can be, and number two, I was blown away by the beauty of the places he had been going, and equally blown away by the amount of gadgets and gear he had amassed. Robbie was a glamper when he was camping. He had every convenience. Last December, I flew down to Key West and camped with Robbie on the ocean. He wanted to sail the ocean, so we brought some sails and hoisted them and started worrying about sailing so uncontrollably that we might be whisked off to Cuba. I waterproofed our cell phones, laid in drinking water and provisions, and got advice on what to do in an emergency. We tried unsuccessfully several times to get the sailboat in the water, but Robert was undeterred. In truth, I was terrified, but determined to make this dream come true for him. When we finally launched the sailboat in the marina, it didn't go anywhere, and the trolling motor wouldn't start. While Robbie tried to get it running, I paddled us out to the ocean, laughing to myself. Once on the ocean, we almost went nowhere because neither of us knew how to sail. We drifted close to the marina for a while and then paddled back to shore, but not before getting some great photos. There are many stories about Robbie. We've been going over the pranks he pulled, sharing remembrances. I hope many of you will share your stories after the service. Robbie was kind-hearted, a gentle giant, and always one to help. Aunt Betty said of Robert, he was always careful to see what needed to be done and set out to do it. She told the story of Robbie arriving at a family Christmas party just when she needed help getting Uncle John in the car to go home. After driving an hour to get to the party, Robert helped put Uncle John in the car and then followed Aunt Betty home for an hour home to get him safely into the house. I have a couple of rental properties and therefore had a regular need for carpentry repair work. I could always count on Robert and Danny. The times and the ways Robert helped me are legion. But I remember one time I had a furnace fail in the dead of winter in the middle of an ice storm with a pregnant tenant. Robbie moved heaven and earth to get the new furnace at a favorable price and install it for me, all within a day or two. We worked together on many projects, and during those times he taught me so many things. I learned so much, my husband tells me I should get a union job. Robbie was an amazing uncle, organized and funded the Uncle Bob float trips annually. He was defined by his natural protector instinct, and that came through on the float trips. He made a point to be sure everyone was safe, especially the littlest ones. When Megan and Aaron were 5 years old, Colleen came up with the idea of a hayride, and Robert made it happen by getting the tractors and the wagons ready, loading the hay, and driving the tractor. This idea became the annual Kelly family hayride, over 30 years running, and it would not have happened without Robert. In fact, this year for the first time, because Robert was so sick, the hayride through the lower fields morphed into the bonfire at the house.
Bring the bonfire to Bob.
I want to close by telling you about some of Robert's favorite pranks. He loved to take down the tap on the kitchen sink hose sprayer, leaving it in the on position, then asking me or my girlfriend to get him a glass of water.
He did that to everyone.
And as soon as you turned it on, the whole sprayer like that, you're going to get showered right in the middle with cold water. Maggie said Robert perfected baking fake snakes on the refrigerator door, and then asking her to get him a glass of milk. When she opened the refrigerator door, the fake snake would jump out at her, causing her to shriek, and Robert would tumble in the room laughing hysterically. Another of his favorite surprises were tiny firecrackers with strings extending out on both ends. When the strings were tugged, the firecracker would go off.
You couldn't open anything. Every door, every drawer, every.
He would tie one end to the door jamb and the other to a door. So when the door opened, there'd be a small and startling explosion.
It was everywhere.
I fell for this trick, and I've never forgotten it. I opened the front door at the house on Marsh Avenue and screamed at the firecracker popping.
He did it to my car.
Next, I walked to the stairwell and pulled the string that turned the whole light on, and bang! Another explosion. I was rattled, but proceeded to my bedroom and cautiously and slowly opened my bedroom door. Nothing to my relief. So I confidently pulled the light change and bang! Count again.
He was master.
Robert howled with laughter over these pranks, and they never got old for him. Finally, Robert was a talented craftsman, a fine human being. We love him and we miss him. And we thank you girls for all you did for him.
Thank you, Edward. You get a complex.
Well, it's hard to follow that, isn't it?
You're good.
I have just a short prayer from the book of Proverbs that I think would cause you to think of Robert. My son, hold to sound judgment and to prudence. Do not let them out of your sight. They will prove the life of your soul, an ornament around your neck. You will go on your way in safety. Your feet will not stumble. When you sit down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, sweet will be your sleep. Have no fear of sudden terror or of assault from wicked men, since Yahweh will be your guarantor. He will keep your steps from the snare. Do not refuse a kindness to anyone who begs it, if it is in your power to perform it. Do not say to your neighbor, go away, come another time. I will give it to you tomorrow. If you can do it now, do it. Do not plot harm against your neighbor, as he lives unsuspectingly next door. Do not pick a groundless quarrel with a man who has done you no harm. Do not emulate the man of violence. Never model your conduct on his. For the willful wrongdoer is abhorrent to Yahweh, who confides in honest men. Listen, my sons, to a father's instructions. Pay attention and learn what clear perception is. What I am commending to you is sound doctrine. Do not discard my teaching.
I'd like to share a short verse from the book of Revelations. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. For most of us here today, there won't be another death today. We've been given more time, unlike poor Robbie. We are alive and together and enjoying this unusual gathering of wonderful people. Enjoy each other. It's not often that we are all able and willing to set aside the usual work of life and gather together. Have you told the people that you care about how much they mean to you and how much you love them? Today would not be too soon to do that. Call an old friend you haven't seen for a while. Stretch just a little harder to find forgiveness for somebody by whom you feel wounded. None of us know how much longer we have. Life is the most precious gift imaginable. Don't squander it. Do most of your parts work today? Feel gratitude. Health is precious, and that old saying is so true. Youth is wasted on the young. When you're young, you just don't appreciate how magnificent it is to move so freely and well. So maybe most of us aren't as young as we used to be, but we still have the opportunity to go for a fall drive and enjoy nature's beauty. We have the opportunity to be kind to someone else, to help others, to hope for a future. You have the opportunity to make new memories. Go do it. There's only one time to be happy, and that time is now. Thank you for joining us. Oh, wait a minute, where's our sound guy? We lost our sound guy. And after this, if people want to share stories.
He's right here.
Yeah. Well, we got him.
I think Warren can work it.
Oh, okay, I should say. This is a sort of an Irish song. This was sort of our theme song when we went to Ireland in 2008. We had a lot of fun together, Robbie and a bunch of us, Chris, and
we all went together.
And we all went together.
There were 3 people.
And the lyrics are on the back page, and if you feel moved to sing along, please do.
Robbie sang it a lot.
Robbie was always singing along.
What's Jane's last name? Hill? Thank you. Cool. It's T-Y-N.
What is it, Danny? Wine?
It's Jameson. Will it make me feel better? Ready? Ready?
everybody a toast to Robert. Everybody get your shots. Patty's going to lead us in a toast. Lest you don't think this is an Irish wake.
Okay.
The only Irish I have with me today is this Jameson, and my wife says it's honorary Kelly's on St. Patty's Day. So, this is a toast for Robert, a man who can sell ice to Eskimos, meat to monks, and maize to Mexicans. May the Lord embrace you in his loving arms and bestow upon you all the richnesses of heaven. To Robert Leach Kelly.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you.
Holy smokes.
Makes you warm all over. I'm glad you didn't leave.
Alright, let me fix this mic real quick. I'm gonna have an old buddy of my dad's, a guy by the name of Monty, a longtime co-worker of Dad, wasn't able to make it here today. He asked me to read this quick prayer, so I'm going to do this first. Oh, Heavenly Father, I ask you to take this pain away and ask you to open up the heaven doors so I can come in and start another life today. I'm ready for you to take me so I can go to my final resting place. I'm ready for my angel wings so I can fly high in that sky today. I may have lost the fight, but in the end I've really won the war. I'm resting easy now, so we don't have to cry no more. Everybody Monty.
Thank you, Monty.
I've, of course, been thinking a lot about what to say on a day like this. You know, it finally dawned on me, my dad was a superhero. You know, you think about it, he had the superhuman strength, he had the ability to fix anything, and he kept us all safe. I think we're all going to have to work to step up a little bit and do a little bit more of that. On the keeping us safe thing, this is my story about him. We were down at the parade, Lee and I were young kids, and he took us down there, and we got there a little late, of course. And yeah, go on kids, go on and get up to the front there, just push your way up. And Lee and I shoved our way up there a little bit, and some stuffed shirt who got there a half hour early, sitting there with his family, and like dropped a couple of, you know, not F-bombs, it was cursing a little bit about us latecomers pushing up, and I'm just running back to Dad. He's like, what happened?
Wait, you were little?
Comparatively little. So I go back to Dad, he's like, what happened? I'm like, he cussed, and the seas parted, and he went up to this guy. I don't think he cursed him, but he didn't touch him either. He was like, you listen here, you, I don't remember what he said, but he read that guy the riot act, and I grew a foot taller after that. That is currently, I learned how you take care of family. It's stuff like that. We're all pit bulls for each other, and he's not here, so if anybody ever curses at you at a parade, come get me.
All only at parades, right?
Okay, anybody else got something they want to say? Leah? Yeah, let's get Leah up here.
Yeah.
Look at Leah. Is that one asleep? Asleep?
Thank you.
Alright, so we'll get Leah and then we'll get Huddy and we'll keep going around.
Don't go too far, I might need help. This isn't meant to be like a eulogy, I wrote it out. It's just a compilation of experiences that I shared with my dad that show what kind of person Aaron. My dad wasn't a successful man by monetary standards, but I'd like to think that he had many successes in life. I believe that his greatest success in life was fatherhood, and I will tell you why I think that. He wasn't a materialistic person. He didn't really show much concern for things. As a matter of fact, he would spend his last dollar to take us to dinner or swimming, and oftentimes he did. I loved when he took us to Schulte's Bakery for Long John's and chocolate milk. Once, my dad helped Aaron build a hydraulic robotic arm to enter the science fair.
Red blue ribbon.
kindergarten.
It was amazing, and my dad was very inventive. A while later, after the science fair, I broke the robot arm while playing with it. But I didn't get in trouble because my dad was unbelievably patient.
Yes.
He was also very protective. People were drawn to him because he was so friendly. When other children would approach him, he used to say to them, "Didn't your mother tell you not to talk to strangers?" Even though my dad was safe, he wanted those children to know not everyone was as nice as him. He was very protective over my brother and I. If I went into a public bathroom and took too long, it was certain I would hear my dad halfway coming in the women's room shouting, "Sissy, are you okay in there?" Speaking of the bathroom, my dad, Aaron, and I used to take turns pulling pranks on each other by taping those little pull-apart fireworks. So when one of us walked out, it would go off. That was my dad. And lately, I've been feeling a tad guilty when I refer to my brand new daughter as Sissy, because I hated that nickname. Although it was better than Flea. But I can't help but call her Sissy. It just happens. Aaron was Sonny. He was also a great Little League wrestler because of my dad. He was so proud of him. You could find my dad at all of his meets on his hands and knees at the edge of the mat cheering him on. And you could find me with my arms wrapped around my dad's neck riding on his back. He always carried me even down the stairs at the apartment while spilling coffee on us the whole way. Even when I was way too big to be carried. But I always asked him and he never turned me down. One night I couldn't sleep and my dad was trying to comfort me. I told him I wanted to hear my favorite song, Walk Like an Egyptian. And he, on my Pound Puppy radio, he actually found it. And we sat there and listened to it and it made me so happy. And as soon as it ended, I told him I wanted to hear it again. So of course he tried. My dad taught me how to ride a bike and swim. He took us to the pool a lot. I can remember I felt so proud because I had the fun dad who would actually play in the pool with us. He would play with us on the equipment at the playground. He actually got a friction burn in his 1980s biker shorts, taking us down the slide. Many times my dad would stop in the grocery store to talk to an old friend for a long time. And he always referred to me as his pride and joy. At the time, I didn't understand what that even meant, but I get it now. My dad made me an amazing playhouse and a white bookshelf and carved my name in the top, and I treasure it, and it sits in my son's room right now. I inherited many traits from my dad, unfortunately, along with his large, bulky rib cage. I also got his sense of punctuality.
Kelly time. Oh, you're home, Liz.
But he showed us that it's okay to be late to a movie, because if you stick around long enough, they'll play the movie again. And you can catch the beginning.
Yes, no, I'd have plenty of time.
When I was younger, I thought he was the strongest man in the world. I told people that he looked like a mix between Robert Downey Jr. and Harrison Ford. And I still can't help but make the association between them. Did you know that my brother and I are skilled in martial arts? Aaron and I are white belts in Taekwondo. Dad had signed us up for lessons, and I think his inspiration was from when he trained for jiu-jitsu. Aaron and I didn't have the same appreciation for it as he did, though. I can remember seeing plaques that my dad had earned, and I knew he could beat anybody up if he had to. I knew this because he always told us so. He's a tough guy. But that's what a dad should be, right? Strong, protective, loving, nurturing, educational. Even though my dad made mistakes, by all these standards, I think that he did pretty well. And in my heart and mind, I will always cherish the great things he did for me and my brother. And I will pass them on to my own Sonny and Sissy.
People should feel free to get up, go get something to eat or drink. This could be a while. I'm just saying.
Buddy, get him up here. What are you gonna do over here?
I don't know, how do you compete against all these words of wisdom about Robert, and I thought long and hard about this. When Margaret called me up and asked me if I would say some words, she knew how passionate I was about this. When Maggie called me up and asked me about this, I felt honored, even though a while ago I asked her if I could, because I wanted to impart some words about Brother Rob, Uncle Rob, best friend Rob. He was the man that, to me, he was a mentor, he was a brother, he was a friend, a confidant. He was also a teacher, a coach, Nina's handyman, Kathy's idea soundboard. You've all said it before, Robert stood up for all of us. We shared many things in lives together, We shared this love for the building arts. And when I said mentor, the man was a Hulk. The dude could do anything. I hired him to be my boss. And I tell you what, it was the best thing I've ever done. I love that devilish grin and that sarcastic glare. You know what I'm talking about? He got that big smile going on his face. He'd sit there and say, he's got that hand going, like scenery would get, right? Let me tell you something, that was Robert, I've known Robert, I've known the Kelly family since I was a little guy,
Since you were born, Dan.
Yeah, you're old too, so. I'm sorry. I think the hardest part about losing someone isn't having to say goodbye, but rather living a life without them. Always trying to fill that void, the emptiness that's left inside of our hearts when they go. We have to hold on to that memory that we have of that person and use that as our strength, something to keep us from, those hard times, when we're just going to bust out and we're going to lose it. For the last couple of days, I've been losing it. That's why I wanted to shout at Jameson.
Where's the bottle? Help you find it.
I brought two of them, so this right? That's the Irish in us. Today we're all Irish people. Thanks to them, I'm drinking Irish. We shared many stories, ideas, especially about the silly antics about our fall workers or the silliness of our clients, and we would sit back and just laugh. Are they serious about that? This was our clients. You know what I'm talking about? Right? We also shared this something that it's hitting us all hard right now. We share this little nasty little alien that's been peeking his evil eye out upon us lately. And what it is, we sat down one day when we were both sick during the deer season, and we looked at each other and said, Dan? And I said, yes, Robert, yes, I know. Without even speaking it, we knew what we were talking about. We're not afraid of dying. We're not sad for ourselves. The fact that we're going to die, because eventually we all will. I'm going to decide when and where, though, I'd like to. But it's not the sadness we feel for ourselves. It's the sadness that we were feeling for the people we're going to leave behind for their lives that they're going to be without us. And when we sit back, he had his red wine, and I had another shot of Jameson. What can I say about Robert that hasn't already been said here today? I've already, right. Well, I can. I feel like I'm here.
Half of it you can't tell anyway.
Well, I can't, sister. you know, I feel like, you know, I'm E.F. Hutton and, you know, your dad would appreciate that. You know, when I'm speaking, everyone is listening, right? E.F. Hutton up here today. But we have done all kinds of things for the ones that we love. Robert says, I have given you enough, I hope I have given you enough of me to help you make it through, to finish your project, to finish your lesson, to finish your story, to bring you to the place where you need to be. I hope I have given you of my all, and I ask nothing in return. This was Robert. You know that. When he came home and he was staying at Kyle's house, you know, I was so thankful to be able to have a couple minutes alone with him. And he looked up at me, and I love when he called me Dano, because I don't, hey Dano, you know, and he said, Dano. Like, I love that, you know. He says, damn those doctors, you know. Don't tell me when I'm going to die. Tell me about how much I have to live. I will decide when and where I'm going to die, and I would like to think how I'm going to die, but I can't, Dan. We're stuck with what we have. And he said, I'll be damned if I'm going to die here in my sister's home. You know, so he ended up out here back at the farm, you know. Right. You know, the man had a big heart, and he just didn't want to bestow any more pain upon you, Kyle. You know that. He says, she's had enough pain in her life. I don't want to give her any more grief. Plus, I'm being kind of an ass right now. So, as we go on throughout today, you know, let's, you know, to help us through those hard times that we're having, thinking about, I'm going to miss him. You know, well, sure, we're going to miss him, but we're going to cry a lot. We're going to have some hard times, right? And well, let's hopefully we have some more shots. But, I'm not an alcoholic, really, you know, but I've really started loving it. Maybe today, yeah, absolutely. My wife is driving. So, let's use the stories of Robert, you know, the things that he's done for us. You know, and like I said, growing up with him, it was just a wonderful thing. You know, I mean, he was my mentor. He taught me things, and we built some wonderful things together. And as we go through life, as I go through life, I'm going to be able to go through and say, yes, I built it. I built it with one of my best friends. I mean, it's not quite the arch, you know, and hopefully it lasts 50 years what we've built together. I mean, the man was a bear, you know. He could build a log cabin with a straight edge and a screwdriver, you know, the man could do it. So please, as you think about some wonderful things throughout the day, and if you fear to partake of any one of those stories, good or bad, and I know 99.999% of them are all good stories about Robbie. You know, I mean, the man had no bad bones in him. But I tell you what, if he did, you know, he had that look. You know? I mean, you wouldn't want to stand, you'd stand back and
You don't want to be that guy.
right. Look at me, you know, do I want to piss you off? Yeah, no, that's not happening. But please, feel free to come on up and share something
If
about
they'll grab you by the leg and drag you down,
the Hulk of a man he was. And again, you know, a tribute to Robert. We love him. We will miss him. But let's let our stories that we have, the individual stories we have, and our life experiences with Robert to carry us through all these hard times that we know we're going to have. So today, enjoy and let's celebrate Robert.
Yeah. Thank you, Danny.
Okay, kids. I know you have funny stories of Uncle Bob. Come on with it. Okay, wait. I take 30 seconds. So a few years ago, I'm out here. I spent a lot of time hunting. Built a hunting crew. Robbie, until I knew Rob had a lot of guns. That's not an exaggeration. So I decided, my girlfriend Sally Ann, this is what I remember the story. She inherited guns, and she's like, hey man, I got guns, and do you think your husband's let me go hunt? Next thing you know, we had a hunt crew for 10 years. And we were out here a lot, my children. It was the best opportunity to bring my babies out here. My baby boy, who couldn't be here because Rob wouldn't have him. Jack's been earning football for all these years, and he got an interception last night. He's playing out for varsity as a sophomore. Robert would not have wanted him to miss that game. His team won for the first time this season last night. That's why he's not here. That's why my husband's not here. So anyway, we're out here, and I'm in the kitchen. Actually, Taylor and my baby girl, put your hand up. That's my baby. Robbie loved this one, like all of them. The next gen. So we're cleaning up, and I found a snake in the fourth bay of the garage. And I walk in the kitchen. I'm telling Taylor something about snakes. You know, Robbie was the one. He was kept us all safe. Always. We were safe. And he never raised his voice. Any of the children would tell you. Robert would ask like this. Honey, you shouldn't do that. And the children, I never learned that from Robert. The Italian mamas were screaming, hey, 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 hey. So, he taught us, Mag and I, my God, we were 2 when we moved out here. And this was a huge playground. There's snakes and scorpions, and we brought pigs and cows. And Robert was the king of safety. And he taught me what to do. I know how a moccasin swims. They're dangerous. It's the only one I'm afraid of. The rest, you squish them. But before you even see them, you hit the weeds with, you take a stick when you walk. They run away. You throw rocks when you go in the water. We were always safe. I never got bit by a snake. It freaked me out when I stepped on one. So we're doing some cleanup, and I'm in the fourth bay, and I see this funky snake, and I know it's not poisonous because Robert told me, yeah, they look like the ones that are poisonous in the Amazon, but no, they're not poisonous here. But I saw that snake in the fourth bay. It was dead, and I'm talking to my baby girl, and I'm like, go talk to Uncle Bob about snakes. And when I walked in the kitchen, he's having this conversation. It's a safety conversation with Taylor. My baby girl is not a farm girl. That's a different life. And, well, she's learning, but she was learning from Robert, the master. And I walk in the kitchen right in the middle of the conversation, and he says, Bridget, what do you do when you see a snake? I had been trained all my life by Robert. And I looked at him, talking to my baby, and I said, Robert! And he laughed because he knew exactly. Yes, I knew what to do, but hey, if Rob's around, you just, hey, Robert, we got a problem. Because of Robert, I knew not to climb into the pig pen when the mama saw just threw some babies. We were 4. Scared him to death. Maggie and I, this was such a huge playground to us. The others, we were babies here. The others had different perspectives, but this was our, gosh, it was such a paradise. And because of Rob, I know not to climb in that little pen. They put mama sows over there because they're dangerous. They'll bite your arm off. They can break your arm. Robert taught me that. Freaked him out when we climbed in. We did. We climbed in that pen. We played with his mouse in the closet because we weren't supposed to. And it got away. And he freaked out. And we had these little orange tracks from the Hot Wheels. Robert heard the commotion, comes up, runs out, opens up the door, and he's like, what's going on? And we're like, nothing. And his little mouse was dead at our feet. And Robbie forgave us and told us not to do that anymore.
You can only kill it once.
I know how to handle snakes. I know what a moccasin looks like. I know how to handle pigs, cows, and every other darn thing that you might find on this property. I knew when I turned my children loose that there might be wild dogs or a neighbor's dog on my property and how to handle it.
I don't know.
Because of Robert, I became fearless. Because of Colleen, too. That's a whole nother story. Different kind of fearless. I moved away from here 3 years ago. You take for granted what you have in such a huge family with guardians everywhere. No one on the playground. Max and I were pretty tough. We were little Robin Hoods. Nobody picked on the little ones. Barbara Joan was so safe. She was timid and gentle, and no one touched Barbara. He was the brother everyone wanted and should have had. And I'm so grateful. We will miss him. If you have a glass, here's to Robert. I love him. I miss him. He was epic, and you're right. He was a superhero with, what do you call it? You couldn't see his cape. But he wore one. Thank you.
Okay, there's others.
I'm going to make this brief because true form, I severely sprained my ankle 6 weeks before Bridget's wedding, and I had a really hard time walking. My feet barely touched the ground at the wedding because Robert carried me around. Wherever I wanted to go, Robert carried me around. Bridget and I told Robert we wanted to learn how to work. And I said, I have this little Browning rifle in my closet. He's like, don't worry about it.
Say it again.
He said, don't worry about it, honey, I got you covered.
He trained us.
I shot any and every marathon. Had no idea what I was doing, and he was the most patient, wonderful, amazing brother that anybody could have.
Hey, Liam, do you have something funny? Lindsay?
My handsome son, one of my 2 handsome sons. This is Liam.
Oh, yeah, Rory is. Hey, I saw you like
I remember everyone always coming out here to hunt, hear about all the stories, and seeing all the deer that's going on. I wanted to learn how to hunt. I felt like a family thing, and I felt like I was it. One time I came out here with just him, turkey hunting, and the night before we stopped at Walmart, he picked me up from my house. And he bought me all kinds of junk food. And I was like, oh, bro, I don't need all this. I'm only here for a couple weekends. He said, his honest exactly, but he said something like, son, I'm going to get you what you need to. So I picked up that night, and I picked up in the morning too. He went to sleep and said, son, we got to be up early. Turkeys, come out of the trees in the morning. So I'm like, all right. But I didn't go to sleep early. I went to sleep about 10 o'clock. He went to sleep, I don't know. I slept down in that big old chair right in the sleep. I woke up at around 9 o'clock, had some breakfast, and he got up about noon. Sitting in that chair watching sitting in that big old chair watching TV. He said, son, what time is it? I'm like, well, Rob, it's about noon. And he's like, oh. Well, I'll go get ready, make yourself ready. I'm like, oh, Rob, I've been ready since 10. He's like, all hurried up then. I'm like, sounds good. We got down to the, no idea which field, found a little nice area and some brush, got some trees, and sat there for a couple hours, I think till around 4-ish. For 4 hours we sat there, and we didn't get anything, and we didn't say anything. Fun fact about turkeys, they're a lot active in the morning. So, he told me, well, I see in the morning they come out of the trees. That's the best time to see them. And I'm like, well, it's around 3 o'clock now. And I didn't care that we didn't see or shoot anything, because I learned a lot and I got to spend them. I knew it was coming sometime, and he lived longer than anyone ever expected him to live. I learned a lot from Uncle Bob. I always learned that things can be fixed, and I just carry a tool on me.
That's right.
In case something needs to be fixed. So, he said something like, he said, "Son, I'm not long for this earth, and while I am here, I'm going to teach you everything I can teach you, so you can teach your family, your friends, and just anyone you come across. As long as what's happening." He also said to me, this isn't fun, so it's so what are you chilling today? I'm like, well, checks come out in the morning. It's a big thing, and I apologize that I didn't get to see anything, anything. And I said it was okay with her because I got to come out here with you at the farm for this. It's great to come out here. It's beautiful, and I'm glad I came out here with him.
Okay, I have a story, and I learned of this a couple years ago. I have a childhood girlfriend. Thank you. I have a childhood girlfriend from grade school in the city named Catherine. And I said something on Facebook, and Catherine sent me this note, and she said, "I love your brother. He was my hero. He was always like my big, strong hero." Colleen was our Girl Scout leader in the city, and Colleen organized an overnight or a bonfire or camping or something down at the creek, which is down the driveway, across the highway, a little to the left, through a couple of fields and over to the creek. And my girlfriend Catherine, when we were 10, cut her foot or hurt herself somehow so she couldn't stay. So Robbie, who just apparently happened to be there because he was always there when there were kids who might be potentially in danger, put Catherine on his shoulders and carried her from the creek through 2 hay fields, across the highway, up the driveway here so her mother could come and pick her up and take her home. Catherine just told me the story a year or two ago, and she said, "I have never forgotten, and Robbie has always been my hero for doing that."
I think we ought to wrap this up. I hope that you share experiences with one another. We all loved Rob, and we love you for coming. I'll just tell you 2 things. One is that our definition of family is very broad. The fact that you're all here today with us is because we always have talked about family as a very big group of friends as well. So we're very grateful to all of you for being here. The second thing I want to tell you is that when we moved from the farm to the country, we met new friends. The Ginslers are here, the Buxtons here, I don't know if the Imies are here, but a lot of people from around here became our new friends. And I want to thank all of you for being our neighbors and being our friends. I don't know if the Weidmans are here, but it's meant a lot to all of us to have your friendship and your neighborliness with us. So thank you to all of our new friends of the last 30, 40 years. We have lots of food, we have lots of drink, and please enjoy it, and thanks for coming.
You did good, thank you.
Hey, you doing, young man? How you doing, man?
Did you just film all that?
Did I what?
Film all that?
I did.